Hello everyone. This is Dr. Komal Shah from Indian Institute of Public Health, Gandhinagar. Today I'll be discussing the concepts of sample size calculation for observational prospective studies. As the term suggests, it is the number of subjects or the participants that needs to be included for a particular kind of study. It is one of the most critical aspects of any study design that is needed for accurate inference and generalization of the findings. If we have corrected our sample size calculation, it means that we could have saved ourselves from obtaining misleading findings or from wasting our resources. So generally, there are certain basic things those are involved with this concept. The first one is that there is no magic formula for any sample size calculation because there is not a single calculation equation that fits all the study design. For different study design, we need to offer different calculation methods. However, there are certain basic concepts that remain same with all the study designs. Those are listed over here. So the first one is your hypothesis. For any study design, before we go ahead with the sample size calculation, we need to have our hypothesis in place. My outcome of interest should be well defined. The second one is significance level. For majority of the study, it is accepted as 0.05. It is our type 1 error. The second one is study power, which is generally accepted as 80%. Minimum of 80% power should be there in our study. Then the effect size, event rate, margin of error, and standard deviation are some of the concepts that should be clear before we go ahead with the sample size calculation. Now, this particular presentation deals with the sample size calculation for the observational study. So it is important to understand the kind of observational studies we generally do. The first one is a cross-sectional study. This is the study that is conducted at a specific time frame. The second one is a case control study that determines the association of exposure with the outcome. Third and the last one is the cohort study. This is a longitudinal study in which we follow the participants who share particular characteristics over a period of time. Now, one by one, we will see how we can calculate the sample size for one particular type of study. The first one is a cross-sectional study. In this, there are different types. The first one is there where our outcome of interest is nominal or ordinal scale data. Over here, I have given an example of measurement of prevalence of cardiovascular disease in the population. For that, I need certain information beforehand. This is the equation that I'll be using. N is my desired sample size. Z is my critical value that corresponds to the level of significance. As we had seen in the previous slide, my level of significance should be 0.05, which corresponds to the 5% of type 1 or alpha error, and corresponding Z value for that alpha error is 1.96. So for majority of the sample size calculation, this remains constant. The p-value, which is a probability of having one particular disease population, over here it is CVD. It is expected prevalence. So p-value, that probability, I need to get from the secondary data or the study those are conducted previously. In case I don't have a previous study, I should go ahead with my pilot study data. Even if I don't have my pilot study data, I need to go ahead with some assumption. As you know, the probability should be 1. So I need to subtract this p-value from 1, and remaining whatever number I get, that becomes my q. Last value that I need in order to complete or solve this equation is d. That is a margin of error or precision. Whatever error that is acceptable for my study design, I need to put it over there. Generally, it is being considered as 5%. That is my type 1 error. Now, when my cross-sectional study has interval or ratio as the outcome of interest, so my data that is expressed in terms of interval or ratio, in that kind of cases, I'll be using this equation for sample size calculation. So over here, the case states, I want to calculate a mean cholesterol level of septuagenarians who are residing in one particular state. So Z value will remain same, D margin of error will remain same, Only additional point will be the standard deviation. Standard deviation I should be retrieving from previous study or pilot studies, and I need to feed those information in this particular equation in order to obtain my sample size. The next one is my case control studies. In that also we have two different categories. One is for the nominal and ordinal data, and the next one is for the interval data. Over here, I want to assess a link between BCG vaccination and COVID-19 infection. So in order to obtain the sample size for this particular study, I should follow this equation. Now there are certain additional information that I need as compared to the cross-sectional study that we have seen earlier. In that, I need the value of R. Now, what do we mean by R? It is a ratio of cases to control. If I have 1:1 ratio, the equal number of participants are enrolled in both the groups, my R will become 1. P, we have seen earlier, it is a proportion of the population. But as you have seen over here, I have two groups. So I'll be taking average of both the groups. Then I have values of Z, two values of Z. Over here, the first value of Z is my desired power. As I've mentioned earlier, 80% of the power is generally accepted for any of the study. And the corresponding Z value for that power is 0.84. Now the next Z is our critical value, standard critical value that is there for our alpha error or type 1 error. The next one is the proportion of cases that over here we have two groups, cases and control. For both the groups, we need to have P value or the proportion. So for cases, it is denoted as P1, and for control, it is denoted as P2. If we have all of this value, we need to feed it in this equation and solve it. For the second case, where I have a data that is expressed in terms of interval or a ratio scale, I need to use this equation. Over here, the case that I have taken is to identify the link between vitamin D level and cardiovascular disease mortality. For that, I need certain information just like our previous slide, and I need to feed all this information in this slide. The last type is our cohort study. What happens when we have a sample size that needs to be calculated for the cohort study? The equation changes, the confounder changes, and the type of variables changes. So this is the equation that is commonly being used for the cohort study. In that, I need additional value, that is M value, that is a number of subjects or control per experimental subject. So over here, the R is expressed as M. So I need to have the control number of subjects as well as the cases. Z value I need to have desired power, Z value of critical value I need to have. Then I need to have a possibility of events in control as well as experiment or my cases. And then I need to have a simple P value. That is my possibility of event. Plus I need to add the value of M. Then I need to multiply the things with the events in control and divide it by M plus 1. So this is the equation that we commonly use when we have a cohort study. Now the sample size for different kinds of study design, we can calculate using these equations. These are some of the theoretical concepts, but now today there are readily available software. They calculate the sample size for you. So if you know the information of your Z, your M, your R, your desired power, all those informations are there with you. You can use any of this software. EpiInfo is very much popular amongst the researchers. Along with that, IB and SPSS is also offering a very user-friendly alternatives. And using this software, we can easily calculate our sample size. Once we have our sample size with us, there is one more important factor of considering the dropouts. So whenever we calculate one particular sample size, we need to take into consideration the dropout rate. So that changes from study to study. We might want to take 5% to 20% of dropout. So it ranges from 5% to 20% of the sample size. And additionally, those many samples should be added in my sample size that is being calculated either by the software or by the equation. So this is all about sample size calculation for the observational study. If you have any query, please contact me on this detail. Thank you.